Welcome back to the coding blog using NextJS. In this video, we'll be working on the header. As you can see, we've upgraded our header to include this logo here. And there's also this learn section here where you can go ahead and you can click on one of the topics to learn. There's also an image next to it. And if we go ahead and click on an image, we get rerouted to the TypeScript introduction page. And if we go ahead and we click on blog, we can see that we're on the blog page. And if we go ahead and click on the YouTube button, it opens a link to my YouTube. And we'll take this opportunity to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll go ahead and we'll open up the project, and the first thing that we'll do is we'll run npm install at MUI material UI /styles. So we'll go ahead and we'll install those. And after that's installed, I'm just opening up the bash command line, and I'm just running a npm run dev. So apologies if that's small and you can't see that. It's just npm run dev to start the development server. And that will allow me to just close up the terminal here so we can concentrate on our code. And the first thing that we want to do is we just want to get the logos. So in the public folder, in the images, I'm just going to reveal in File Explorer, and inside this folder here, I'm just going to paste the logo, which is, my logo is JP, just for John Pepping, and you can have whatever logo you want there, or that logo. And then I've also got the Node and TypeScript logos there that we'll be using in the menu. So now that we've got those, we can close the File Explorer up. And of course, they'll be on GitHub for you to, copy if you want. So let's just go into utils so we can reference the logos. And in this learn folder, we'll create a new file. We'll call it topic logos.ts. And we'll start off by exporting an interface. And we'll just call that topic logo. And a topic logo will be composed of a topic, which is going to be of the type topic. So we can go ahead and we can import those. And just to refresh our memory of what that is, we can list out the topics there. So right now we've got TypeScript and Node as topics. So we have the topic itself, and then we also have the logo URL. And that's nothing more than just a string. And then as we build up more and more topics, eventually we'll probably only have between 5 and 10. But we'll separate the particular type of topic logo. And then we'll just type underscore what that logo is. So we've got Node here, or that topic is. And that's going to be of the type topic logo. And that's just the object that we just create the interface for. So we got Node there, we got some IntelliSense there, and then we got the logo URL. And this is relative to the images folder. So with Next.js, when it's looking for content and it's looking for images, we don't have to specify the particular public folder because that's sort of assumed where it's going to be looking. So we can just say images or /images /learn, and this node logo we've called node logo small, and it's a PNG file, so it has the transparent background preserved. Now I'm just going to Shift Alt down these lines here, and this time we're going to have topic logo TypeScript. So the topic this time is just going to be TypeScript. And note, if we have something that's not a topic, we'll get that IntelliSense error message. the error message. So this is just going to be TypeScript logo small. And then what we can do is we can just go ahead and we can export a constant variable, and we'll just call this all topic logos. And it's just going to be an array of topic logos. And it's just going to be the array of each of these topics we add. So again, if we add another topic, we create a new learn section, and we can just go ahead and duplicate this down and then add it to the array. And that will allow us to cycle through, and it won't be completely hard coded. So I'm just going to save that there, and we can go ahead and we can close this file up now. So what I want to start to work on is the header component. So we open up the header component here. So I'm just going to import a couple of icons here. So the keyboard arrow down icon and the YouTube icon, as you've seen in the demonstration at the beginning, we'll need those. We'll also make use of the styles import that we just installed. So we can have a make styles object here, or destructure it using object destructuring from the @mui/styles. And then we'll also go ahead and we'll just import the use state hook, and also the use ref hook here. We'll also just create the shell of a component, and we'll get to working on it soon. And we'll just call this the learn menu .component.tsx. And if I use the snippet _IFCE, we get the React arrow function here. And I'm just going to change this to learn menu component. And I'm just going to say learn menu component here. And we'll come back to working on this. So I'll just save that. So let's begin to work on the header. And actually, let's just go ahead and see where we're at. So this is the old navigation bar. We want to have this logo in the top left and the 3 new menu items in the top right. And the first one has the drop-down menu for the different sections that you can learn. And we'll loop through that programmatically. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the header component, I'm just going to just create a variable below this interface of props that we've set up in the previous videos. So we'll go ahead and we'll say, have a constant variable here called use styles. And that's going to make use of the make styles that we've just installed and imported. And what this will do for us is it will return an object here. And then we'll be able to make use of these styles as the name suggests. So the first one here is we're going to call it Popover. And we're going to set the pointer events to none. And then we're going to have a second object, or referring to a second object in a key value. And we're going to have Popover content. And then we're going to have the pointer events set to auto. So essentially, when we hover over the Learn tab in the menu, there's going to be a popover, but there's also going to be the events on mouse enter and on mouse leave. And for there not to be an interaction between those built-in events and the hover event, we need to make sure that the popover itself, or the text that we're hovering over, has the point events none. And then, but however, when we hover into the actual box itself, or the menu with the particular topics listed out there, there's no longer the mouse over event on that additional component. So we can set the point events to auto, and that will ensure that the menu doesn't close. So, and then we'll just put a comma here, and this will become more apparent as we work out the Popover components. So we're working on the header component here. So we're using the custom theme here. Let's go ahead and use some state here. So if we use the state, I want to say opened popover, and then set open popover. Now initially it's going to be the case that the popover is false, i.e. we're not hovering over learn, so there's no menu open. But if we do hover over that, or one of the popover components, we do want to set that to true. So we'll need some state for React to be able to detect that and make the adjustments in the UI accordingly. Now we need to have an anchor tag. So we can have a variable here. We'll call it Popover Anchor. And this is where we'll use the use ref hook. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to display a popover or a menu just below the learn text in the navigation panel at the top. So we need to be able to place that next to the DOM element, or inside the DOM element. We need to refer to the parent of the popover component. So we're just going to use this use ref here, and this will probably make more sense as we start to build it out a little more. Next thing we'll do is we'll just create a variable called classes, and this is just going to use the styles as a function that we created here, and that's just so we have a variable inside the component that we can refer to access the particular classes that we're after. So the next thing that we want to do here is I'm just going to create this named arrow function here. I used the NFN ES6 or ES7 snippet extension. So I'm just going to call this Popover enter, and essentially this takes no params, but it's going to be called as the name suggests, enter the popover component. So we can just go ahead and set some state here to say that, well, it's actually going to be true. And we could do the same thing. And of course you could have one function here called toggle and set it equal to not whatever the current state is, but let's just leave it like this for now. We may come back to refactoring things. And then we'll set this to false here. So right now we haven't actually made any changes to the UI, but we've set up the logic that we're going to need to use to implement the UI and the changes. So as you can see, if we just look here, we've got this heading here, and then we've got a switch and this menu here. Now we want to add 3 items here: the learn section with a drop down, the blog, and the YouTube links. And then we just want to remove this and put an image there and some images and links in the learn section. So to be able to do that, let's just extend the header component here. So we got the box surrounding the entire app bar. So this is all set up for us. So then we got the toolbar, and then we got some icon button here. Now we're going to get rid of this menu icon and then replace that with an image. So the image, it's just going to refer to, actually this can just be /images/logo/ and I've just called it JP for John P. Pink logo-small, and it's actually a GIF here. And then the alt, we'll just make that JP logo just for accessibility purposes. So we can go ahead and remove this typography here. And let's just go ahead and save that, see where we're up to. So as we can see, we've got this logo here, but now we can see that the switch button has moved over to the left here. So what we'll do in this case is we'll just have a box just to be a bit of filler. And actually this is a self-closing tag. So let's get rid of that. And let's say box here. And then we can just add some styling here with the SX. So that's for material UI components. We can use SX. And then we're going to say flex grow. Set that to 1. They'll ensure that the centering, they'll ensure, well, we're going to have another box. So we'll have another box here. And this time we'll set the display to flex. And the width to auto. But this time we won't have the self-closing box. This will be wrapping our so let me just close this up. Get rid of these here. So this box here, this is going to be around the switch, and there also will be some, I'll just use a span here for now. I'll just put learn here. So I'm just looking at what's going on with this box here. I think this tag actually needs to be closed like this. Let's just go ahead and save that, see where we're at. All right, cool. So we got the logo on the left, and then we got this on the far right. And how that's worked is we got this element in the middle, this box in the middle, and that has the property flex grow 1. So that's just going to take all that additional space up and space the logo and the bits on the right there. So now that we've got that set up, we can start creating our components, or sorry, our links. And then one will refer to a component. So rather than this span here, I just want to have a typography component. And I'm going to give it the variant of H6. We'll make it the component equal to the span. And we can refer to this. So we created our Popover Anchor. Now right now that's going to be null, but we'll see how this gets set. And then we're just going to have a little bit of accessibility. So we can use the aria dash owns. And if it's the case that the sorry, that needs to be equal. If it's the case that it's the open popover, we can just say mouse dash over dash popover. Otherwise, it will just be undefined. And the second accessibility that we'll have here is the aria has pop-up. And we'll just set this equal to true. So this just tells the browser as the bot crawlers are scraping through it for accessibility purpose that this particular link is in relation to a pop-up component. And then this is where we have our actual events. So we have the on mouse enter event. We can set the popover enter. And then we can also have the on mouse leave. And we set this to popover leave. And they'll set the state of whether or not it's opened or not. So, and then I'll just add a little bit of styling here to make this a pointer. So the cursor of the pointer. And then we have this learn text here. So recall that we also imported the keyboard arrow down icon. So let's go ahead and grab that. That's cursor. So just below the, let's just break this up a little bit here. Where this learn is here, I just want to have a keyboard arrow down icon. And this will be a self-closing tag. And we'll give it a little bit of styling here using SX. And then what we'll do is we'll just vertically align that into the middle. And we'll just display flex. Actually, inline flex. And then we'll just give it a little bit of margin right of 20 pixels. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll just make that have some color. And then we'll just set that to the primary color. So let's just save that, see where we're at. So now we can see that the arrow down is in line with the learn text here. Of course, if we click on it, nothing's going to happen just yet. So let's just get our other two headings there before we work on the popover itself. So next things next, we want to have some links. So I don't know if we have a link in here. Oh, we do. So above this typography component, or below this typography component, but next to the switch here, I want to have a link. And this is the next.js link. And what we want to do here is we want to have a link for the blog. And we know that this has a href of, so relative to the base project / blog, or an absolute path of / blog. And then we can just go ahead and tack on this pass href attribute here. Now we want to use the typography component. And then we'll put the blog text as a child in between the typography tags. we want this to have a style where the cursor is a pointer. Cursor is a pointer. Margin right. That's just 20 pixels. And the particular variant is going to be H6. So let's just save that. Now we see that we've got this blog text here. There's 20 pixels of margin right there. And then if we go ahead and we click on blog here, it just takes a second to load, but you can see that it does navigate us to the blog page. And then if we click on the JP, it navigates us back to the home page there. So we can see that this sort of pattern here works. So let's just duplicate that. We'll Shift Alt down that. And actually we're going to have an external link this time. So rather than having this at all, we'll just have a tag here. And the href is going to, I'm just going to copy this in here. So this is going to go to my YouTube channel. And that's just, here's the YouTube channel. So John Popink. And then it's going to link to the videos page. And then this query with the question mark sub confirmation equals 1, if you're curious, that just has the pop-up menu to subscribe to the channel. So we want this to be an external link. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set the target here. And we're going to set it to _blank because we still want them to be on our website. But we want them to also visit this other link in another tab. So we've got this _blank here. I don't know why this is erroring. So I'm just going to type in YouTube here and save that. Okay, so again, this error here, not using no referrer, and which implies no opener as well. So let's just go ahead and get those going. So as an attribute here, we got rel equals no opener and no referrer. And I think this has something to do with the website that you go to tracking information from your website that you're sending. So, you know, if I'm going to YouTube, YouTube will be aware of this and it'll go into its own analytics and stuff like that. And we just want to have our website and our analytical data self-contained. So let's just add a style here. And we'll just set the color, and we got the custom theme, so let's just go ahead and use that. We can use the palette, and then we'll just set the text to primary, just so it's this right color. And then we'll also set the text decoration to none, so it keeps consistent with the other links. Okay, so we can see that this is a little bit smaller there. So what we'll do is we'll just, inside here, we'll add a typography. And where we've got blog, we'll replace that with YouTube. And then we'll get rid of that there. And then we'll make use of the YouTube icon. So let's get that. YouTube icon. Now, we want this to have the color of secondary. Now, the YouTube icon is red, but we got this pink color that's pretty close to the red, so it just looks kind of consistent with our theme to have it like with that color. Of course, you can choose whatever color you want here. And then we'll just add some styling to this icon here. So we'll just change the font size to 40 pixels. We'll change the vertical align to top. Display will be inline flex. And then just to line things up a little nicer, we'll get the margin top, and then we'll say -4 pixels. And they'll just offset any of the spacing around the icon. So we can see that we've got that. So now if I click on YouTube here, it takes me to my particular YouTube. You can visit there, youtube.com/c/jumperpink. And then /videos is where the videos are. And then we can see we got this pop up here. So you can just go ahead and click subscribe here. And so we can see that that's working, the blog's working. Now we just need to get the learn section working. And to do that, we need to actually work on the component. I'm not sure why that's erroring. We'll come back to that. So let's just go to the Learn menu component. So I think I just spelled display wrong here. Let's just go ahead and save that. And that gets rid of the error for us. So yeah, as I said, let's get this popover menu going. So I'm just going to import some imports from Material UI. And I'm just going to copy these imports over. You can copy these from the GitHub repository or type them out if you prefer. So I'm going to get the link because it's going to link to different topics. And then I'm going to use paper, menu list, menu item, and typography, all coming from Material UI. And then I'm also going to import topic logo and all topic logos. So if we just see this here, getting the type for topic logo, which is just a topic in the logo URL, and then all of the objects, so an array of objects or array of topic logos that we're getting there. So we've got access through those, and we basically want to loop through that and display that data, and we'll have this in a separate component here. So let's build this out. Now this is just going to be a functional component. We can take this in from React. So let's get that there. And we'll take it like that. Now there's not going to be any props. So what we can do here is let's just make a fragment because we want to have a styling associated with this. So to do that, well, let's just start off by having our paper component. That's going to be the backdrop for all of our list items that we're going to list out, or our menu items that we'll list out. And then as a secondary sibling tag to the paper tag or component, we're going to have a style here. And we're going to make this a JSX expression. So I'm just going to copy this over. And we've done this in another section, so you can copy it from that file. But essentially, we're going to have a class here. We're going to call it menu-item. And for each of our menu items, if you hover over it, we just want to have this nice color here. So this will be the same hover color as we had in our Learn side navigation. So now let's build out our actual component here. So first things first, let's just get some styling on our paper. Let's just set the width of it to 320 and a max width of 100%. Now, nested within our paper, we're going to have the menu list component, and we want to loop through all of our or topic logos, and we'll just map through each of those so we can return some JSX. And for each topic of the type topic logo, and also there's going to be an index, so we can set that as a key. What we can do here is we can have a link tag, and each link tag, well, firstly, it's going to take the key, which is just going to refer to the index to uniquely identify it. And we're going to have a href here. And the href we can just build up. So let's use the template literal backticks here. So we can go to the /learn/ whatever the topic is. So let's use the variable here. So the topic.topic and then /I. And this needs to be to lowercase here. And by default, each section it will have a introduction. So we'll just navigate to the /introduction section there. And then of course we can just have a pass href attribute here. And then nested within the link, we'll have the actual menu item itself. So let's go ahead and get that. And a menu item, we will have a class. We'll give it a class name of menu item, as we've seen before. So as you hover over this particular menu item, which changes the background color, consistent with our theme. And then we'll just add a little bit of styling here. And we'll just make the height of this 50 pixels. And then we can have an image tag here. So let's just give it a little bit of styling. So next to the particular logo, we want to have a margin right of 20 pixels. And then for the actual logo itself, we have access to that in our topic logo URL. And then for accessibility, we can have the alt tag as topic-logo. And then what we want to do after the image tag is we want to have our typography here. And we want to have a variant type. Now we got H6s for the menu, so let's make this a little smaller. We'll make this the body 1. And we'll just go ahead and give it the color of text secondary, the secondary text. And then we can just say we want the particular topic to be output here. And then we'll just go ahead and save that. That should wrap up everything that we want. So we're looping through all of our topic logos. So all of our topics and the corresponding logo. And we're adding a menu here for a popover. And it's going to be a menu list. It's going to have the links to the area that we need to go to. So let's say we're going to TypeScript. We'll go to /learn/TypeScript lowercase /introduction. And then we just got a little bit of styling on here to make it all look good. So now if we come back to our header component, let's see where we could call this component. So basically what we want to do is when we hover over this, we want that menu to appear. So to achieve that, just below the learn section here, we want to have a popover component. So this is going to be let's see here. We've got this typography here for this text here. And we want that to be the parent component. So we've got this Popover Anchor here. So nested within this typography here, we want to have our popover. So actually, when we're writing it out, we want the popover to be next to this component here, but it's going to be referred to. It's going to need this particular section to anchor it on to an actual DOM element that exists on here. So right now the popover doesn't exist. The only thing that's closely exists is this learn tag here. So we need to anchor onto that, and then based on that, we can conditionally show the popover depending on if our thing is hovered or not. So we've got this popover component here, and we got this on mouse enter, on mouse leave. That's conditionally setting the state to either true or false. So what we can do is this popover component here, we can just give it an ID here of mouse over popover, which is consistent with the accessibility here, referring to if it's open or not. And then what we can have here, we can have something called the container attribute. And this is where we take the Popover Anchor. So that's just the typography component there, or the learn text essentially. And so what we're doing is we're setting the okay, so initially we're setting the Popover Anchor to null, but then we're using the useRef hook, and then we have a reference to this component. So the Popover Anchor is referring to this typography component. So we can say that we want this to be the parent, if you will, or the container of the Popover component. So then it appears relative to that position of that element. So we use the Popover Anchor, but that's referring to the actual element itself. So we need to get the value of that, and then there's a current property that's built in here that refers to that. So that's how you reference the particular element that we want to have our popover sort of attached to. Then I'm just going to add a class name here. We'll just add a class. So remember, we made the styles that we can use. So we got this popover style here, where the pointer events are none. And then we also got this popover content, where the pointer events are auto. So this should make a little bit more sense now. So what we'll do is we can just reference that. We can say classes.popover. It's because we set the classes variable equal to that. So essentially, yeah, the class is popover, the popover component. We don't want to interfere with the on mouse enter and on mouse leave here. because this is where the anchor tag is. So what we can do is we can set the pointer events to none. So when you're on that, it doesn't interfere with these events here. But then, of course, on the actual component itself, we don't want that to close instantly. And I'll show you what that looks like. So let's just continue to get these attributes going. We can have some classes here. And we can see that we have this paper component, well, this learn menu component, which consists of this paper here. And these classes can refer to that. So I'm just going to have paper here. So essentially the paper components that's nested within the Popover component, and the Popover component is going to reference this component. So we're going to set this equal to the classes dot popover content. And then we're going to have open equal to opened popover. That's the Boolean expression there. And then we're going to have the anchor L. And that's just going to be equal to the Popover Anchor dot current. And then we want to have the position of this. So there's the anchor origin and the transform origin. So the anchor origin refers to, so this is the anchor tag. And then the anchor origin is essentially where we want our Popover component to be relative to that. So in our case, we want it to be at the bottom. So we don't want it to get in the way of our learn text here. And then we also want it to be at the left. So it looks something like that. And then the actual Popover component itself, we want that to be at the top and to the left. So it lines up nicely. So to be able to do that, what we'll do is we will add those properties. So the anchor origin, that's just going to be equal to, it's going to have a style here. The vertical will be at the bottom and the horizontal will be at the left. And I'm going to recap over all of this. And then we'll have the what's going on? The transform origin. And in this case, we'll have the same sort of thing here. But the vertical will be the top and the left. And then finally, we'll have our, let's just save that to refactor it. And then finally, we can have our paper props. And we can have on mouse enter popover enter, because obviously when we hover over the Popover component, this will be that the popover left, so the state will be that it's false, but we want it to be true to keep the popover open while we're hovering over the popover itself, so it doesn't close immediately. So then we can have this on mouse leave. Actually, on mouse leave be the popover leave. And then nested in this popover here, we can just have our popover, our learn menu component here. Let's just go ahead and save that. And we'll just need to import popover, I believe. So let's just get that. So we can get the popover from material popover here. Just save that. This should be transform origin. We'll just save that, and that should get rid of that error. And then we'll just save everything. Okay, so let's see. Well, it's not working. So let's investigate why. So it turns out the header component's all good. I think there was just a slight typo in the learn menu component. A closing tag or something like that. Anyway, that's changed now. If the error is still there, just go on the GitHub and copy the code over. It's pretty much the same. It's just like that now. So now if I hover over the learn, we can see that we can see the node section and the TypeScript section with the corresponding icons for those logos. And of course, for completion, if I just click on TypeScript here, just give it a second to load. We can see that we're now on the TypeScript and we've been routed to the introduction page. And of course, if we click back onto the JP, we're there. And yeah, that pretty much completes the tutorial. So let me just recap that because it was a little scattered at the beginning of the video. So essentially what we've done is we defined all of the topics and the logos. So in this file here, in the utils topic logos, we have the name of the topics that we want, and then also the corresponding image, and then we've put that in the images/learn section, and then we've just referred to all of those. And then we also have our logo for the page, so the JP image. Then we went to the header component here, and this is where we put the logo here, and then we put these items here. So these last two, they're just regular links. So this blog is a next link, so you can just click that, it'll just go there, and YouTube's an external link. But most of the work was in this learn section here with this drop down popover. And we can see that it's nice and to the left, bottom left of this component here. So just to run quickly through what we just covered there, in the header component, we essentially for that learn section here, we had to have an anchor tag. So learn is where this popover is appearing relative to. So otherwise this popover component wouldn't know where to register to. So it needs to register relative to this learn text here, and that's what we used as the anchor tag. So what we've said here is essentially that we have our app bar. We have our logo on the left there. That's the JP logo there. Then we have a bunch of space in the middle to separate it from the second section here. I should also show the light mode here as well, so that looks nice there too. Although I do prefer the dark mode. And then we have these 3 links in here. So I'll show you the last 2. So we just have a regular link here. It links to the blog page, or it's an external link to the YouTube page. But perhaps more interestingly, interesting is this learn section here. So you hover over, you get that there. So just to look at the code, we have an event that sets the state of the whether or not it's open or not to true or false. So if we look at that, popover enter just sets the state of the set open popover. So the open popover is just going to be true when you enter and false when you leave. So we've used this typography. That's the ref that we're anchoring onto. Then we have the Popover component itself. So we've seen that. It just loops through all of the topics there, and it displays it's a link to that section, to the introduction page, and then also just has an image and the text that corresponds to that. So that's what we want to display here in the popover. But to do that, we had to reference the container. So that's sort of like the parent tag, or even though it's next to it it appears to be next to it in the JSX code here, or the TSX code here, it's sort of anchored relative to this ref here. So we just use the .current property there. We gave it some classes here. So we had this pointer events none for the popover, and then pointer events auto for the popover content. So now we can see that the popover, it's just has the the popover is referring to, so the popover refers to the class, and then we also have classes on the paper. So that's sort of like saying on this nested component here. And when we hover over this paper, it doesn't close the thing. So if we had something like, let's see here. Let's say we didn't have this here, and we saved it, and we hover over it. Now we can see that it disappears straight away. So if I put that back there, that having that set to auto, it means that this popover component itself, I can hover over that, and then that still will keep the state of it being open. So essentially that's all that's happening here. You can hover over the text, or you can hover over the component itself. So you can hover over learn, or you can hover over this itself, and they'll count as being open. And we've done that just by anchoring into things, and we position that where we want it to be. So we can see that it's appearing in the bottom left of this from relative to the learn here. So that's the anchor origin here. And then you can also just transform the origin if we'd like. And then the paper props, basically this component here, when we're hovered over it, it preserves the state of, entering or leaving it, i.e. is it open or is it closed? And then that's how everything just works there nicely. So let's just have a final click through. So we can see that we've got this node and TypeScript here. course, if we click on the YouTube, we can get linked to my channel and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So please go ahead and do that. If I click on blog, it will link me to the blog page. Now we will just need to bring this down, but we'll do that in the next video. And then of course, if we go to learn, let's click on Node this time to mix it up. I think we clicked on TypeScript before. We can see that it routes us to the /learn/node/TypeScript here. And then of course we could click on further topics here. And then finally we can navigate back to the home page by clicking on the home logo icon here. So yeah, thanks so much for watching the header video. In the next video, we'll probably be looking at the home page and the footer. And we might also go ahead and go back through all the code, refactor it, do a little bit of responsive design. We could be doing a combination of those things or a subset, maybe break it down in a couple of videos. And then finally, we'll go ahead and we'll deploy this. So thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.